everybody, welcome back to Screenstars and welcome to another PlayStation 5 review. Today I'm taking a look at Everspace 2. Now this was released a couple of weeks ago on the PlayStation, and I've tried to put as much time into this game as I could over the last couple of weeks in order to give you the most in-depth review that I can on the PlayStation. Now Everspace 2 is essentially, it's like a looter shooter arcade kind of space combat simulator. Now, for those of you out there that look at many of the space games that are available to play, maybe like No Man's Sky and Elite Dangerous and so on and so forth, you may look at those games and feel a level of intimidation about them, thinking that they're going to be too complex to play. And it kind of puts you off. You just kind of want an arcade experience, a pick up and play experience. Well, you're going to be very, very pleased with this, while it is not as complex and as in depth, and you certainly couldn't class this game as like a space sim in many aspects. It is very much a hugely enjoyable like space combat experience. Now, the game is a direct sequel to, obviously, Everspace. Now, that is a game I have covered on this channel when it came out. I did play Everspace, obviously, when it came out several years ago on the PlayStation 4. I played that one. And while I did enjoy that game, it was a roguelike game, that one. So, essentially, every time you died, it was pretty much you had to start again, sort of thing. I've never really been a big fan of roguelike games in any format. So for me, that held the game back. Well, thankfully, on the second one here, they have got rid of the roguelike elements and essentially turned this into almost like an expansive space RPG in many ways. You play the same character from the first game, Adam, who is a clone. The story is serviceable. Here, you know, you're essentially this character, Adam. You are on the run from the big bads in the, universe, sort of thing. You team up with a few comrades, go on the run, scavenge equipment, so on and so forth. I never want to reveal like big in-depth elements of stories. I like you guys to experience it yourself. But needless to say, the story ticks along nicely, a fairly nice pace. There's some nice almost like cutscenes that they're not what you would expect, not in a normal cutscene. They're kind of done quite creatively, and I think they work quite nicely to kind of keep the story going on. Now, the big attraction here for me is the way the game looks. I mean, I think the game absolutely looks stunning. I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful game. It's a game I have played on Steam Deck and enjoyed it on Steam Deck, but the negatives of the Steam Deck is the fact that the screen's too small. So to play this on a big TV on your PlayStation 5 is an absolute joy. It looks really beautiful. The combat is fabulous. It is so easy to pick up and get used to the combat. Now that the controls are set here, there is an alternative like layout you can choose, but you can't, if you like, choose where you want to put certain keys. Essentially, you can't rebind the keys or anything like that. But to be honest, the default settings for the controls feel very, very comfortable to me. I've had no problems, honestly, with the controls on the PlayStation. I suspect you can use a keyboard on the PlayStation, but I haven't got a keyboard. I've never enjoyed using keyboards, so I haven't tried that personally. That's something you might want to research if you want to use your keyboard on the PlayStation to play this game. But honestly, for me, the controls are absolutely fabulous. I've had no issues at all with it, and the combat is so slick. It's fast-paced, it's arcade-style combat, it's like dogfighting, basically. Most of the time, well, not most of the time, quite a lot of the time, you're going up against like enemy drones, and they're pretty much like target practice, certainly early on in the game. And every time you come up against human opponents, the difficulty spikes significantly sometimes. And depending on the mission, there might be like an elite pilot or two that you've got to handle. And you do that in a couple of ways. You've got obviously you've got blasters you can use, and then you've got missiles, and you've got like EMP weapons and things like that as well. That are really really cool. And with this being like a space looter shooter, essentially, you can kind of pick up new weapons from the ships that you've destroyed. They'll be scattered around the area, and you can kind of use your tractor beam to pull them in. So you can use like, you can find new weapons. You can find like coil guns and like almost like sniper weapons for your ship. And you're constantly looking for better weapons, better missiles, like homing missiles and other versions of missiles, EMP weapons. And then you keep upgrading your ship over and over again, and it's really really a hugely addictive gameplay loop, I have to say. Constantly updating your ship, constantly looking for resources out in the locations to make sure that you keep your ship upgraded. There are new ships that you can buy as well, depending on the places that you go. Some places that you land, they will have new ships for you to buy. It's the usual sort of thing, you know. You've got light fighters, medium fighters, heavy fighters, all that kind of stuff, and they've all got very distinct styles. They're all customizable as well, which is really really cool. And again, that's another gameplay loop that's very very addictive. Is constantly trying to add to your array of ships in the hangar that you can constantly change and use. You can do like in cockpit view or third person perspective. I always prefer doing the cockpit view, as you'll see from the gameplay footage in this game. It's all within the cockpit for me. For me, I always enjoy that. It makes it far more immersive. So there's a crafting option as well. You can craft new things. Honestly, for me, that's one of the weakest elements of the game. But if you want to craft things, you can certainly craft them, because the idea of the crafting, if you like, is because resources are so important here, because you need resources in order to upgrade your perks. So that your companions in the game, and you do get more as the game goes on, allow you to upgrade certain aspects of your ship. Things like your repairs, your tractor beam, and other things like that. And you use resource essentially to upgrade these perks. So like scrap metal and iron, even credits, all the things that you find and you're constantly, collecting on your missions. They will help you upgrade your perks and again make the ship stronger, make you a more difficult enemy. There's some mild puzzling involved here. Now what I mean by that is there are some like environmental puzzles. There are things that you'll need to unlock to get into places. So you'll need to go to one area, kind of tractor beam something to your ship, kind of hold it there, and then fly to another area and kind of slot it in place. It's almost like going to a certain area, collecting a battery, flying to another area, and then inserting that battery somewhere to open up an area for you to go in, whether it be a mine or a space station or whatever. That's kind of as complex as it gets, and it is what it is. I'm not a huge fan of this aspect of the game, but it works. The mechanics are absolutely fine. It slows the game down, so it's not always just shooty sort of thing. There are some things that'll get your brain working as well, to get some puzzles going in the game. So it's quite creative how they've done it, and it absolutely works. All the locations apparently like handcrafted. There's no two places that always look the same. I think they've been quite creative in how the game looks and how the game feels, and I do think each location looks really, really quite impressive and very beautiful at times. And the campaign will take you around 30 hours, but if you're a completionist and you like to do all the side activities, it'll take you a little bit longer than that. Probably around 40 hours, maybe a bit longer if you're doing all the side missions, because essentially the mission structure here is you kind of will jump to a certain area using like your hyperdrive sort of thing. Once you get there, you'll kind of start your mission, but along the way, as you kind of jump into that mission, there'll be new blips that appear next to you. Undiscovered site, unknown signal, all that kind of stuff. And it's up to you if you want to kind of jump out of where you're going and change your focus to one of these undiscovered sites. you'll go there and it could be any number of things. It could be somewhere that you go and there's loads of things for you to kind of collect, like resources. There'll be other things where you're going to get ambushed. There'll be other areas where the ship's in trouble and they need your help. There'll be other areas where, you know, there'll be a space station that's asking you to kind of do like fetch quests, if you like. So there's a whole array of different things to keep you occupied and busy. So along with, like, you know, the collecting of your ships and upgrading your ships, your companions, the story, fitting new weapons, constantly on the lookout, on the scrounge for better weapons for your ship, better armor plating, on the all the other things that you can upgrade and add to your ship to make it better and stronger and faster and all those things. The gameplay loop here is, for me, highly addictive. It's a really easy game to pick up and learn how to play. It is not a complex game. If space sims generally put you off because you're worried about the complexity of them and they're going to be too complicated, you definitely don't need to worry here. This is not a complicated game, but that doesn't also make it easy either. You can choose your difficulty options when you're going into the game if you want to play it very easy, medium, hard, that sort of thing. I've been playing it on like the normal mode, if you like, and at times it can feel a little bit too easy, but obviously when you're coming up against some of the elite pilots it makes it a lot more challenging. So it just depends on what kind of gamer are you, what kind of player are you, and when you go into this game to make it more difficult or as easy as you want it to be. But it's a wonderful game. I'm really enjoying my time with this game, and I suspect if you pick this one up, guys, it's a game I do recommend. You will probably enjoy it too if you're looking for that pick up and play space combat experience. So thank you very much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope you found it useful. I'll be back with more reviews and content on the channel very soon.